So when you started your Beyond Earth game, you said to yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you pretty much said, I'm a baby. I hate conflict, I hate excitement, ergo, I'm going to embrace these alien scum around me and go the Harmony route? Is that pretty much what you did?
That's how I play all video games.
Yeah?
With the premise that I'm a baby. No! Oh, God. Can't you, like, aliens, you land on an alien planet, don't you want to, like, hang out with those aliens and be like, hey, can I get a ride? And the alien's like, woo, which means cool, because you researched their speech. Dude, the aliens are cool.
No. Those aliens are just a means to an end. See, I went with the supremacy route, which means I embrace cybernetics, I embrace nanotechnology. I'm just using those aliens as a launch pad to improve myself.
So how did your Civ go? Like, how did it start off? Kevin Van Orden and I talked about sort of the first 100 turns. So, like, what did your, you get to, like, turn 100, you've got a couple cities already set up. Like, what did your Civ look like? What were your goals, and what were any, like, problems you encountered?
Yeah, so it is funny, like, there are definitely two distinct phases where I felt like I was working towards something, I was making my route along toward the victory condition, and then I hit that tipping point where I was like, I'm never gonna get there. I've got about 50 turns left. Let's do something interesting.
And interesting, like, that means war, pretty much.
That means war. It always means war, yeah. But in that first phase, I was putting all my research into robotics. I unlocked this really cool melee unit called the Cinder, CNDR, which is just like a really kind of all-purpose, tough, rugged drone melee unit.
Okay.
Which was great. This came in really handy when I was...
It looks like a Cylon.
It kind of does look like a Cylon, yeah. It's just really flexible, really, really nice in pretty much any kind of combat scenario. So I was building up my military, and then I got to turn 200. I got about 50 turns left, and I realized, well, Pan-Asian Cooperative, you made a huge mistake by being the closest civilization or faction to me with about 50 turns left. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you out.
So you popped off.
Yeah, I popped off on those guys.
Nice.
How about you? How did yours go?
Well, I don't know if it was like just the amount of cities that I had or the amount of units that I had, and most of my units were trade units, but I was losing like 20, 30 energy, which is like gold basically per turn.
Yeah.
So I had found some, and I had built up a little bit, so it wasn't immediately threatening, and I wasn't actually using the energy for much now that I think about it, but you can use it to buy units and stuff like that, and in trade agreements. But I set up trade routes, so I had a bunch of stuff, like they just automatically crisscross, and they can be attacked, but that was good to do within for sort of like internal strengthening, but it's really once you start trading with foreign powers that it gets really lucrative. You can get more science and more energy. Like the internal stuff was mostly production and food. I ended up going into battle. So there was one, I forget, like Cavithan Protectorate or something, just like plunked down on my island. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? They were near some tombs I was gonna go excavate. So I chilled out for a sec. I did some trade route stuff. We benefited, everything was fine. But then I decided, like, look, you have some Xenomass, which is one of the resources. So I wanted that Xenomass, and also I wanted to try out my Xenoswarm, which was my sort of first affinity-specific unit. Yours was the Cinder, the robot. The Xenoswarm is like 2 Marines, and then like 2 of the like Manticores, and then like a bunch of the like Wolf Beetles all rolling together as this melee unit, like working together in beautiful destructive harmony. And I totally was able to take, like, I did some artillery bombardment. I tried to bombard with my gunships from the sea, but the city just like sunk them immediately. But the Xenoswarm just ran over them, and then actually, like, then continued my campaign of bloodshed and cleared out all the aliens from my thing, because, like, look, I'm down with aliens. I want to mind meld with all of them as part of my victory conditions, but I can't be having no siege worms in my cities.
Siege worms cannot be reasoned with. Those guys are space assholes.
No, they are the worst.
They are the worst.
We really got to the point right where, you look at your cities, you look at my cities, you look at my military units and yours, they're really starting to differ.
Yeah.
And they're differing in look, they're differing in capabilities. Like I'm totally at home in Miasma. You guys are.
Yeah, I was sending the satellites up there to clear it out from on high, because like the Miasma was like, if I had one huge problem that I encountered in my kind of like expedition maneuvers, it's that miasma patches.
Yeah, they will definitely, and especially if you're trying to build an expedition near there to research stuff, or you get stuck on one because of marauding aliens or whatnot, it definitely chips away, and it sort of gives the world a little bit more personality, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got to that point, and I was feeling pretty good, but like lesson learned, I really think next time I play from the start, I'm gonna try to do like a few super cities and not try to colonize as much, because I think, I'll sacrifice, I guess, being able to produce in as many locations, but really like the health issue was a thing. But then again, I don't know, I even got to the point where my health was troubled. I'm not sure exactly how bad it actually gets.
Right, yeah.
Like it definitely hinders growth, but if you're kind of at an okay place, I feel like we got to the point where we were able to develop our cities a bunch, but there were still a lot of things that could maybe have consequences down the line.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where in the last 30 or 40 turns, I realized I was playing with house money. Like I didn't have to care too much about the health of my cities because I was gonna hit that cap, so screw it. But it's gonna be interesting once we play the full game and you have to actually worry about those penalties.
Yeah, which, like, the mindset you were describing to me before of like, I got all these military units, my clock is ticking, I want to accomplish something in my life. It's like this really weird insight into like what aging dictators might think when they like just go on some crazy rampage or something. Oh, it's so good. So good, the scenarios that it sort of Civ lets you imagine, and I think that's, been a through line throughout the whole series, and it's certainly present here in Beyond Earth.
A new beginning for mankind.